Hey everyone, welcome to Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies, a show in which we discuss movies both old and new. Today we have a new movie that just came out in the cinemas this past weekend, and Nathan, without no further ado, name that movie and who directed this movie.
It's Mickey 17, directed by Bong Joon-ho.
And what is this movie about?
Yes, Mickey 17 stars Robert Pattinson as a man named Mickey Barnes who joins an expedition to terraform a far-off planet, but he joins the expedition as an expendable worker, which means he is given tasks that are dangerous, not only that, but lethal and deadly, and he dies during these tasks, and he is reprinted, he is cloned as another copy of himself, and just repeats the process. His job is basically to die over and over again to make things safe for the rest of the colonists on this new planet.
And how did you feel about this movie, Nathan?
I really, really liked this movie. I think it's a situation where when I watch it a second time, I'm going to absolutely love it. Just because the first viewing, so much is happening. It's very dense, but for the most part, yeah, I really like this movie. Bong Joon-ho has yet to miss. He's such a just great director. The performances from everyone in the cast, not just Robert Pattinson, who's playing dual roles. Everyone's fantastic, and it's a stacked cast as well. Robert Pattinson, Mark Ruffalo, Toni, Collette, Yeun, Naomi Ackie, so many people, and they are just all phenomenal. Ajay, what are your thoughts on Mickey 17?
This is easily one of the best films we've ever watched on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
I know that's a bucket of praise. That
We're
is
going
a heap of
deep
praise.
in there. All right, nice.
But I truly believe that this is one of the best films we've ever discussed on this podcast. And hats off to the cast and crew behind this film. Before we get into the actors, Bong Joon-ho, this can only come from the man of him.
Yeah, no,
this whole idea can only come from him. When I watched it, I was like, this is like, and I messaged you this. This felt like a Ridley Scott film on Oxycontin.
And I thought you were just like joking with that, but then I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this is basically like Alien Covenant if it were like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah. And again, it's like, it's a film that you mentioned Looney Tunes. There's a lot of dark comedy in this film.
Yeah.
And it really works out well. Because there were moments in this film where I was just watching it and I couldn't keep it together.
Yeah.
Whether it was the positions that were being displayed on the tablet,
yes,
or whether it was the hilarious montage of Robert Pattinson just finding different ways to die.
Yeah.
There were several moments in this film that just made me just die of laughter, and I think I was the only one laughing in the theater because it was kind of a dead theater. This deserves to be watched on the big screen, so if you haven't watched this movie yet, please watch it now because this is meant for the big screen.
It really is. It's a very humorous film, dark humor, very satirical in nature because it's dealing with a work culture where an expendable worker can literally die, be brought back to do the most demeaning and dangerous tasks, and that leads to a lot of great dark comedy. But like, yeah, in terms of seeing it on the big screen, it's also just like such a good looking movie too.
It's breathtaking. Like there are moments where they go into this new planet where it's filled with creepers.
Yeah, the aliens.
And we're not spoiling it because I think it's pretty
It's pretty clear in the trailer. There are creatures.
You just see the snowiness of the planet. And it reminds you of the original Star Wars film where you saw Hoth. But it's done in a more detailed way.
Yeah, it feels incredibly desolate and dangerous, but also like kind of like beautiful in a way too. This completely like ice washed planet, and then you have these little creatures who are like, I love their design. They look fantastic, and they're just like, they ride that fine line between this thing is disgusting and also like, I'd like a plushie of this because it's adorable.
I want to get into the performances.
Yeah, let's absolutely, because that's like the whole movie.
Robert Pattinson. I mean, is there anything else to say about this man?
What can you say about Robert Pattinson?
I want to say that the New York Brooklyn accent that was used for the narration, I thought that was very well done.
It was.
It was purposefully done because it kind of dumbed down the film for us simpletons to understand it. Because if Robert Pattinson just did his narration in his classic, English accent, posh accent.
Say you have signed on to host the next season of Love is Blind. I'm going to call Rob and see what he'd think of this. I feel like they're shooting somewhere today that's not got the best service. It's not going through. Okay, now it's ringing. My love? Hi, my angel.
You call me brother.
No, I said my angel.
It would have turned me off of the film.
Yeah.
But because it was done in a Brooklyn accent, it was like, yeah, I was, with
the
Nasha,
nasally.
and,
Oh, geez, what can I say about dying, about getting reprinted?
He sounds absolutely ridiculous.
we thought macarons could be like the next kind of currency, so that's what we got into,
Told me that they were going to be as big as burgers, and against my better judgment, I believed him.
Like, it works so much for the character because he's so, like, meek and just, like, non-confrontational.
Affable, likable.
Incredibly...
Charming.
This role wouldn't work without Robert Pattinson is something I was thinking while watching it is if you had anyone else doing this and like doing this character and this voice, I think over time it would become abrasive, but Robert Pattinson he knows how to sell like the meek like little nerd archetype, but like still make it like incredibly charming and engaging without ever getting annoying. Like that voice is it's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, because if you take it at face value of just this guy who's down on his luck, who's barely making ends meet, and you're thrust into that situation, you look at it at face value and think to yourself, how can I like enjoy or be intrigued by it? But for some reason, Bong Joon-ho and Robert Pattinson found a way to make me really be invested in the character, and not only invested but also entertained.
Yeah.
And I think that comes down to the script writing. It comes down to the performance of Robert Pattinson. Mark Ruffalo
is absolutely ridiculous.
I remember watching the film and I was like, oh my god, this is so hilarious. He's so great. And then I hear discourse online, and it's people being like, yeah, he was easily the weakest link of the entire film.
That makes absolutely no sense.
I was
to
like,
me.
you need a silly, nonsensical character of that nature to play that guy. Like, why? I don't understand, like, why people were so up in arms against Mark Ruffalo for playing this sort of Trumpian-like figure.
Yeah, no, he sells it perfectly. The mannerisms, the voice, it's all very uncanny. Like the weird like veneers he has on his teeth. His teeth just look so strange, just the way they stick out while he talks. It's another performance where anyone else playing that role, it would come off as just too much for the movie. But Mark Ruffalo like knows how to sell it, knows how to keep it like in line with the tone and the comedic nature of the movie, and he plays just Mark Ruffalo really knows how to play just like such an asshole.
Yeah.
Like between this and
But a
Poor
likable
Things.
asshole.
Like an entertaining one. So
Yeah.
like I can watch this guy for hours. Like the dinner scene is just absolutely
I was going to mention that
fantastic.
to you.
Yeah.
There's that scene in which Mark Ruffalo proposes to a board member to start an all-white planet. And when you just think about it at face value, like it's horrifying, it's disastrous, but he's able to say with so much wit and charm that you laugh.
Yeah.
It was one of the most hilarious parts. And even Toni Collette.
Oh my
She
god, I
was
completely forgot about
amazing
Toni
in this
Collette.
film. Because when we're getting to spoilers, but again, before we get into spoilers, I want to say this is a film that you need to watch on the big screen.
Absolutely.
Like, if you haven't watched this film, get out of this review and go watch it. Yeah, leave.
Get out of here.
Because it's very important that we support films of this nature, especially when we know that it's important to support films that are sort of not doing as well in the box office as they should be. So Toni Collette, back into the spoilers. Toni Collette was in that dinner scene with Mark Ruffalo, and Rob Pattinson is like choking. I think he's like going through some convulsions, or something of that nature.
Because they poisoned his food.
They poisoned his rations, and Mark Ruffalo is like, okay, I'm going to shoot this guy, and Toni Collette is like, no,
merciful.
not on the carpet. You know how expensive this carpet was?
This is a Persian rug. You're going to get brains all over it. Now shoot him. God, that dinner scene was it encapsulated the entire movie. It's so funny. It's so just chaotic, the way just the madness builds, the way Robert Pattinson tears into that like disgusting like undercooked steak, and then the team of doctors that all rush in from the door just like, Mr. Marshall, we did poison the steak because we wanted to see what would happen. Robert Pattinson's like his physical performance, especially in that scene.
It's very Charlie Chaplin-esque.
It is the way he convulses, moves, falls over, breaks things.
It reminded me of that scene from Possession of like Isabella, not Isabella Rossellini, but was that the name of the?
Isabella Johnny, yeah,
where she's like having that miscarriage. In the
like a comedic version of that. It was just it was like disturbing, but also just so funny, because each time I was like, this is horrific, I'd let out like a burst of laughter. Just so wonderful, all the performances. I want to say something about Naomi Ackie, because she kind of stole the movie.
Especially in that third act when she had that confrontation with Mark Ruffalo's character, and when she was telling that the creeper is like that's the one thing that you shouldn't kill. If you kill this one little creeper, it's going to set off universe war. It's going to create
a chain of events. But yeah, her entire performance she's such a good balance to how ridiculous Robert Pattinson is. And I just think they have just such good chemistry. I really bought the relationship between them and the romantic elements of their characters. It really worked for me, and I felt myself completely invested in them as characters and their kind of journey together.
Yeah, and when I hear people saying, "Oh, like why was there a love story in this?" Like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, listen, like this entire war is simply a vehicle for that love story.
Yeah, no, the entire movie is essentially like, I think one of the main focal points is that this is like a romance. Like, it's about someone who loves all the parts of you, because he keeps getting destroyed and then reprinted, and he still has this relationship. When he is printed twice and he has a new personality there, she's like, okay, so we're gonna have a threesome. She's all on board. It does not faze her.
Well, she was also high on Oxycontin.
True, they were also high on space drug. But even when the high comes down, she still like loves and like cares for this person she loves, and it's really sweet. One of the best scenes in the movie is when we flash back to him getting like nerve gassed in a tank, and she like puts on a biohazard suit just to like be in there with him so he doesn't die alone. I was like, God damn, that's really good. That's super like sweet, and like that entire relationship really elevates a lot of the movie. I think it gives it a nice like emotional core.
I really want to just rewatch this movie again.
Exactly, yeah. It's a very dense movie. I think a lot happens in it. I will say, I'm going to say a small negative.
Yeah, get into your negatives, because you mentioned that off air.
Yes, I think it's a solid movie. For the first two acts, it's very tight, but I think by the third act, it starts to show its bloat a little bit, just because I think the ending, it was like we were wrapping up a lot of hanging plot threads. Like that, the very like last 10 to 15 minutes was just a lot of just like, oh, we got to clean up with the aliens. We got to clean up with this military coup that we did. We got to wrap up all this. We got to wrap up Mickey's own personal story. It was a lot of moments during the third act where I'm just like, oh, I think we're wrapping up now. No, we're still going. Oh, we're still going. And I didn't hate any of that, because I love everything in this movie, but it did just feel, as we got towards the end, it was there's a lot going on.
See, I don't blame you. I understand your point of view, but I personally enjoyed the nightmare sequence that happened with him and Toni Collette.
I think it's good. I do like it. It definitely felt, while we're at the end of it, it was a lot.
I mean, yeah, it was a lot, but I think with how the second act was in terms of building the relationship between Naomi Ackie's character and Robert Pattinson, as well as setting up the totalitarianism of Mark Ruffalo's character, I think that the abrupt switch into just let's do this all in just like 15-20 minutes, I think that it was kind of well deserved, because we sat through that first and second act where, even though I truly enjoyed it, you can definitely tell that, okay, this is just gearing up for something even more sort of high-paced.
Yeah. it works with the chaos of the movie. I just think on a first viewing, it's like it throws a lot at you, which is why, again, like I think a second viewing, just like you can really like, you'll really just like absorb so many details that it feels like that kind of movie where upon a second rewatch, you'll just find it's like packed with so many like little details that flesh out so much. One thing I noticed on this first viewing was there's Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, his other doppelganger, because they thought he was dead the first time.
He's a replicant, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a replicant. Yeah, it's a Ridley Scott movie.
On Oxycontin.
But yeah, but like they established that like they have to re-upload his memories and personality each and every time, and when they print out Mickey 18, someone like dislodges just like a single little like node from his cranium, and they have to plug it back in, and so that's why the two Mickeys have like such different, or the same but so different. One is more meek, the other is much more abrasive, and that's just, I love that little detail. Like, oh, that's why he's like that, because these doctors who are kind of like failing upwards throughout the entire movie, like they completely like forget to like bring out the gurney every time he's printing, and so he just flops onto the floor like 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, there was hilarious moments in this movie. Like, there was a moment in which Mark Ruffalo and his wife were condemning the passengers on board by saying they shouldn't have like recreational.
Yeah,
and it's just like cut to
it's
Naomi
gonna
Ackie.
burn calories. We need these calories to get to the planet.
And you just see a hard cut to Naomi Ackie and Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, they're having.
Yeah, I mean, there are moments, and I think that's one of the highlights of the film for me, is that with a film that has so much to offer, it can be difficult to match the tone of the movie.
Yes,
and to really understand when the line is to laugh, when it is to add humor, when it is to be serious. And I felt like this film did a great job at juggling all of those emotions in a 2 hour and 17-minute film.
Yeah, no, that's a strength of Bong Joon-ho. He just really knows like how to work with these genres that anyone else could falter and be like tonal like whiplash, but he's shown that he's kind of adept with action, with like satire, with horror. Like all his movies, I feel like, have kind of been leading up to a project like this. Like you've got the monsters, that's from Host. You've got the social commentary from Snowpiercer. You've got and
Memories
Parasite
of Murder
as well.
is all over this movie.
He's just such a great director who each movie he is constantly like honing another part of his toolbox, and it's just so great to see. God, love Bong Joon-ho.
This is easily, I would say this is the best film we've ever discussed on this podcast, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think we've discussed a lot of movies. It's definitely up in the top tiers. If we make a tier list of every movie we've discussed, obviously Megalopolis is at the top.
Megalopolis,
And
followed
then-
by Trap.
Yeah, followed by followed by every single M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
And then we got Mickey 17.
Yeah, and then somewhere along the lines, the Bike Riders falls in.
The Bike Riders is there too. What else?
Let's get into the not the villains, but the creepers.
The creepers, yeah, they're just the alien race that is already at home on this planet of Niflheim that that the humans have come to terraform and live on, and they're like gross little like slug monsters, but then the longer you spend time with them, it's like the little babies have like these little puppy dog eyes, and they like yip and bounce. It's like, these are the cutest goddamn things I've ever seen in my life. And I will scream if any of them get hurt.
Yeah, and I will not use their rat tail to make a smoothie or jam out of it.
Yeah, Toni Collette is obsessed with sauce. I don't know what that is. I'm just like, what is there is this something subtextual, or is she just a weird little freak that likes to make sauce?
Yeah. I mean, I will be honest with you, the creepers I really loved.
Yeah.
And I think it really illustrates and highlights not only the production design and not only the visual effects, but also the sound design. Because in that third act, when they start screaming, at first, like, it's annoying. But after a while, you realize, like, it's a cry for help.
Yeah.
And you sort of feel sympathy for them,
Mm-hmm.
not just in that moment, but even before then when they were being colonized by this imperialistic force.
Yeah, no, the third act, and by extension, a lot of the second act, goes a long way to empathize you to these creatures that even Mickey's kind of like the focal point of that because they save his life. And up until that point, he has been deemed completely expendable by everyone around him. And so for these gross little bug creatures to, give him another chance, it's very sweet. And like you feel that connection. I love one of the very ends where he's like,
Are you guys really gonna like blow everyone's
heads up, and then the baby just starts screaming and then just like does like a fake like fall over and die. Cutest goddamn thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
If they can release plushies for this, I'll buy all of them.
That's very true. All right. I mean, we can get into even more spoilers,
Yeah,
but I think we should wrap up now.
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of touched on every little like
everything
spoiler thing without like really getting into the weeds with it.
Absolutely. So, conclusive thoughts.
Mickey 17 is fantastic. Bong Joon-ho does not miss. The casting is just pitch perfect. Everyone is so wonderful in the movie. I would highly recommend you see it in theaters, hopefully with a big crowd, but my crowd was kind of small, not a lot of people, but I know I was laughing hard, and yeah, it's just a fantastic time. Ajay.
This was the craziest Star Trek episode I've ever seen in my entire life.
It feels like a Star Trek episode.
I think I said that on my Instagram story. This is the craziest Star Trek episode I've ever seen. I loved it so much. This is why we go to the theaters. This is why we go to the cinema. Is to see,
to laugh, to cry,
to order Coca-Cola, and see people do dance sequences.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
It's an amazing film, definitely worth your time. And I think it's a film that in 5-10 years will be viewed as like, and maybe this is just me thinking wishful thinking, but it will be viewed in the same vein as say Alien 2001, A Space Odyssey. Ooh. I think it's going to be up there.
That's lofty.
It's a lofty praise, but I maybe I need to watch it a second time to like really sort of put me down a notch. But I can't wait for that second viewing.
As crazy as that is, I don't disagree with you because I do feel like this is a movie that over time will garner the respect and kind of like following that it deserves.
Yeah, I mean it's an amazing film filled with a lot of dark humor.
Yeah, but
a story that is very worth telling with messaging that is also very important during this time.
Yes, very, very topical.
And I thought the performances were great. There was never a moment where I checked to see the time on my phone. I thoroughly enjoyed it. My movie theater experience, you mentioned yours, my movie theater experience was, I think, around 9 people. It was like, I watched it early in the morning, Dolby Cinema. And when I started to watch the trailers, there was this trailer for the new Jurassic World movie, I'm pretty sure. And it aired, and once it said in theaters this summer and cut to a different trailer, there was one woman in the front saying, "Never, you will never catch me seeing this film."
Okay, that's good. The nature is healing.
and I was like,
we need another Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah, and I was like, that's great. I'm happy you said that, but like, please shut the fuck up when the movie starts playing.
True.
And happy to report, she didn't talk throughout the entire movie.
It's very good.
So I was able to enjoy it.
She said her piece, said what people were thinking, and then stopped talking when the movie started. That's wonderful.
But then
good.
I saw she was a part of this friend group, and there was like a group of 4 or 5. And after the movie was over, they went to the lobby and they just left. I was like, no, like this should require some sort of discussion. Like I feel like this is a movie where you don't just like watch it and then just go back to life as usual. This is a film that requires discussion and discourse.
Yeah.
I was a little bit depressed by that. But having said all that, it is one of the best films we ever discussed on this podcast. And yeah, this is one, I mean, this really rejuvenated, I mean, not rejuvenated, but this really showed the love of films that I have.
Yeah.
You know, because for the past few months, I'm not to say that we didn't review any good films, but for a while I was just like, I mean, this is good. It's a good use of my time, but I don't leave feeling different or like feeling as if I just watched like a generational piece of work.
Feeling like you just witnessed something like, oh yeah, this is my thing. This is for me. This has everything I want in a movie, and it's all just coming at me.
And generally speaking, I'm not like a sci-fi person. Like really? I do like sci-fi, but it's not like the genre that I truly. I mean, I've only watched like 1 or 2 Star Trek movies in my life, right? So it's like sci-fi is not like my preferential like genre of movies. But this was able to subvert my expectations, and it really made me fall in love with not only the performances, not only with the director, but just the entire story in general. And I really thought, whatever Bong Joon-ho is going to cook up next, I can't wait to watch it.
Man is always cooking. Always cooking.
All right, so I think we put a nice bow on that.
Yeah.
For the end.
Go see Mickey 17.
Go watch Mickey 17. It's very rare for us to end a review with very little jokes.
And feeling happy
and
not depressed and being like, wow, we watched a good movie and we had good thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Not like, God is dead. I wish I were dead. Yeah. The world should be dead.
Yeah.
But not today.
Not today. Today's a celebration.
It's a celebration.
Of not only Bong Joon-ho, but hopefully for films of this nature to be released in theaters and to be appreciated, because we know we certainly will appreciate these films if they appear on the theaters. So that is it for us. Kind of short and quaint, but why not? Anyways, that's it for us. We'll catch you next week. We don't know what movie we'll discuss next week.
It's going to be
Black Bag.
Oh,
the Soderbergh movie.
Maybe.
Opus starring Ayo Edebiri. Novocaine starring Jack Quaid.
Oh yeah, I love my Nathan representation. That's what I'm here for.
Take your pick, because it's a precipitous drop off from this film.
I'll tell you, Southland Tales, directed by Richard Kelly.
If you don't let me suck your I'm gonna kill myself.
Wait.
Take your pants off right now, or I'm gonna pull the trigger.
We'll see you next week. Bye.